Hi, Algebra 1. These are the notes for the worksheet you'll be given today. We are solving for the indicated letter. Okay, so how are letters, numbers being held together mathematically? They can be added, subtracted, multiplied, divided. There's other methods as well. So if we take a look at these notes, how are these being held together? What mathematically is holding 2 and x together? Yeah, they're being multiplied. So if I want to get x all by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So I get x equals y over 2 as an answer. And then if we take a look at this one, how are 2 and x being held together? Well, that's a fraction. A fraction is division. So if I want to get x by itself, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides times x, because that's going to get it out of the bottom. Then I'm going to have xy equals 2, okay? But I still want to get x by itself. Well, how are x and y being held together now? Yeah, they're being multiplied, so I want to divide both sides by y. Those cancel out, so I get x equals 2 over y. This third problem down here, lower left corner, I have x plus 2. I want x by itself. So what would get x by itself? Subtract 2 from both sides. Cool. Those are gone. So I'm going to get y minus 2 is equal to x, or you could flip it over, but I'm fine with it like that. And then this one, I have x minus 2. I want x all by itself, so I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Those cancel out, so I get y plus 2 is equal to x. So you're just solving for a letter in these problems. Well, let's take a look at this. I want to solve for y in this case. Okay, 3x and y are all being multiplied together. So if I divide both sides by 3 and I divide both sides by x, watch what happens. 3 cancels with 3, x cancels with x, that leaves me y, and then I get z over 3x. That's my answer. Well, let's take a look at this next one. X and y are being multiplied. Let's take a look at this third problem right here. X and y are being multiplied together, and then the 3 is making a fraction, so that's a division. I want to get x by itself, so the first thing I might do is I multiply both sides by 3 to get this 3 to go away. And then, so xy equals 3z. Well, I want x by itself. Well, x and y are being multiplied, so you use division to get y by itself. So there's your answer. X equals 3z over y. Let's take a look at this third one down here. We have 3 plus xy. Well, x and y are being multiplied together. Well, let's start out doing it. So we're going to get, it's a positive 3 here, so I'm going to do a negative 3 here. So I subtracted it. Well, z minus 3 is just z minus 3. You can't combine it. And then x and y are being held together. I want y by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by x. Notice I made a big division sign there. So that's what that equals. And then if you take a look at this last one, 3x and y are either being added or subtracted. I want to get y by itself. Okay, well, I'm going to go minus 3 from both sides. Those cancel. So I get x minus y equals z minus 3. And then I want to get x. Well, it's a positive x, so to move that, I have to make it a negative. And there's no like terms there, so I just have to squeeze it in someplace. Doesn't really matter the order. I mean, some teachers might say the number has to be out front, but I don't really care. Now, because I have a negative sitting out in front, I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1. And that's going to change all the signs. So negative 1 times negative y is positive y. Negative 1 times z is negative z. Negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. Negative 1 times negative x is positive x. So that's what y is equal to. Last two problems we're going to take a look at. These are for area of a circle. Area equals pi r squared, and then circumference of the circle, c equals 2 times pi times r. R is the radius, but we don't really have to know that. So if we take a look at this, this is a little bit advanced. I want to get r by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by pi first. Okay, so a over pi is equal to r squared. Now this one's, we're not probably going to see this at all, but how would I have r squared equal something? So I have r squared is equal to a over pi. So what undoes r squared is I have to take the square root of both sides. So I get a equals the square root of a over pi. And then in future classes, you'll figure out how to not have the square root sign in the bottom part of the fraction. But as far as right now, we're totally fine. For this last problem, pi, so 2 pi and r are all being multiplied together. So if I divide both sides by 2, so I get c over 2 equals 2r. And then what I need to do, pi r, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. So then pi r are being multiplied together. So let's divide both sides by r. So I get c equals, or c over 2r equals pi, because those cancel out, and so you've solved it. Some of the problems on the worksheet, they want you to solve for a particular letter, but then they want you to plug some numbers in and to figure out the rest. So take a look at worksheet 4.4. Have a nice day, everybody.